Mina, konbanwa, JesusFreakinGamer here. We're at 1 Kings chapter 11, and here we have Solomon's final mistake. And it really was his last one, because this is the last thing written about his life. So this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, and this wasn't a straw. This was like putting, an entire pallet worth of anvils on the camel's back. Smashed it to pieces. This one was really bad. Are you ready for it? Let's just start with verse 1. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many foreign women, as well as the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites. From the nations of whom the nations of whom the Lord had said to the children of Israel, "You shall not intermarry with them, nor they with you. Surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods." Solomon clung to these in love, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it was so, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not loyal to the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David. So the problem here is women. I was gonna make a joke that the problem was, he had way too many women around. Women caused him to fall, just like Eve did Adam. And I couldn't keep the smile off my face. The problem was not women at all. The problem was the women he chose to marry his spouse. He chose a bunch of unbelieving spouses. It would work just as horribly if a woman chose a man as an unbeliever as her husband. He would turn her heart away from the Lord as well. I know it doesn't always happen, but the analogy that I've heard used many times is, what's easier? Like, let's take someone who's hanging off a cliff, and so someone is beginning to fall off the cliff. Someone drops to the ground, grabs their hand, and is trying to pull them back up. Who has the easier job? The person who is being pulled up, or the person who is pulling up? That person wanted to tug the person off the edge of the cliff. If they were so inclined to commit suicide like that, or hurt the other person for whatever reason, then obviously the person who is hanging off the cliff would have a much easier time pulling that person off. The person pulling them up, they're going to have a hard enough time pulling that person up if the other person is trying to help them, much less if they resist or actively try to pull that person off as well. And that's the analogy often used, and I think very accurately, for those who marry outside of the Lord. And it is commanded also in 2 Corinthians not to be unequally yoked. That is in reference to marriage. You don't marry someone who doesn't share your faith. And let's just be honest here. 700 marriages, 300 concubines, 1,000 women? Oh, geez. I love women, don't get me wrong. Women are great. They smell nice, they're soft, they're purty. But 1,000? Oh, gosh. Oh, wow. I'm just like, wow. Just, no. Good grief, no. Nothing against women at all. Women are awesome and wonderful. But no, not 1,000. And the real problem was a lot of them were not believers. And the Lord actually also gave a warning back in Deuteronomy when he spoke through Moses to Israel about the behaviors of the king, that the king should not marry too many women. So make that failure number 4. This actually falls into failure number 3 category. He married Pharaoh's daughter, who wasn't a believer. That was bad. Just multiply that by, I'm guessing probably a few of them, converted over to worshiping Yahweh. So I'm guessing some of them at least were believers, but apparently not the majority. And so it was the problem of marrying Pharaoh's daughter multiplied by several hundred. And on top of that, he broke the Lord's commandment for the king not to have many wives. So, yes, and because of that, Solomon in his old age turned away from having a faithful heart to the Lord. Is he in heaven? How far did he fall? I don't know. The Bible doesn't say. What I do know is that we see the blessing that's given from a godly inheritance, from what David did, we also see how to mess it up, how to mess up a good thing. God still, despite his worshiping on the high places and marrying Pharaoh's daughter, God still blessed him abundantly and gave him so many things, and even answered the prayer of, whatever you want, I'll give it to you. And then he prayed a good thing and was like, I'm going to give you the kingdom and health and wealth on top of all that, and it's going to be great. And Solomon, he abused it. He abused it. He didn't stay loyal to the Lord his God. Broke one too many commandments. Sin's a slippery slope. You break one and you don't change your behavior, you don't adjust your positioning, that 1 degree off center becomes 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 12. If you don't correct, it keeps going off. So when you see yourself sliding, guys, repent quickly. When you see sin in your life, turn your heart towards the Lord quickly. And it's not that we're ever gonna get everything always right, but if we have a heart to the Lord, he can let us know the areas where we're messing up. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I love you, and God bless.